Well, welcome back to another episode of these crazy people that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. I'm your host, Tom. I'm here solo at the moment. I think we got a couple of people coming in later. So, anyways, they should be here soon. And, anyways, today we're going to talk about the differences between eating plant based and meat based, or meat based and plant based. So, anyways, I hope everybody out there is doing good. Hope everybody's eating plenty of meat. I know most of us eat steak, so I should just say steak. And, anyways, I see Justin is popping in right now. Let me get him up here on the screen. Oop,
Hey,
there he is. So, where you been hiding?
um, nowhere in the bathroom, I guess. Brushing my teeth, washing my face for the show. Ribs get really messy. Beef ribs get
Especially
messy,
when you're eating them.
especially when you're eating them. Yeah. I
I
have
mean,
my
you.
own keto. Oh, yeah, especially when I'm eating them.
Do you have your own keto? Sorry.
My own special keto sweet ribs recipe.
Do you want to share with the crowd?
Sure. So I use garlic, salt, no, garlic powder, onion powder, Redmond salt, cinnamon, and caramel um, chalk zero syrup.
Mm, I've never tried that. I
Two
think you mentioned it before.
275 for three hours and 15 minutes seems to come out quite perfect. You take them out at about the 310 mark. You put some Primal Kitchen barbecue sauce on them, the Hawaiian kind, and then put them in for another 10 minutes, and they come out really good.
So you cook them with just some dry rub on them for most of the time. Then you add some sauce at the end.
Yeah,
Nice. So you doing it in the oven, air fryer? What are you doing?
in the oven. I don't know if ribs would come out good in the air fryer. People
I
do
don't
that?
either.
I don't know.
Yeah, you got. I'm the only one that doesn't actually have an air fryer. It seems like every conversation, everybody's like, "Oh, I just did such an air fryer, and it was amazing." So I was actually looking at them. Was at the store, but at the store, all they had were the really big one. The big air fryer is gigantic, like family size, like cook an entire meal for four people. I was like, I don't want one that big. I want one that heats up really fast, and just does, like a one person's meat at a time, you know.
Right.
Still on the fence. What do you think? Should I get one?
Well, I think you should hold off just a little bit because I don't know who it was. I heard this from someone else, but I guess there's a company coming out with a air fryer specifically tailored to people on the carnivore diet.
Mm. Do we know what manufacturer?
I don't yet. No.
Hmm. Well, I like that idea of being able to use the parchment paper liners.
Right.
Yeah. I was saying last week I ordered a bunch of parchment paper liners for a muffin tin,
Yeah.
and then I realized I don't have any muffin tins. I think I took them to the Goodwill or Salvation Army or something a while ago because I went
Oh
digging through
shit.
all the cabinets looking for stuff to get rid of, and I was like, those muffin tins have to be here somewhere, and they're nowhere to be found. So, oops,
Oops.
gonna have to order muffin tins now to go with my parchment
Maybe
paper.
that's something that you didn't see coming. Welcome everyone to another epidose of the Meat Mosaic. I am Justin. That's Tom. Please hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed and stay subscribed. Please leave us your comments. Do you still use a muffin tin? So are you ordering muffin tins as we speak? What's in your Amazon cart? Leave us a comment of what's in that Amazon cart. Um, we all know we got something in there, right? Something that we're like, Amazon on mobile is dangerous.
For
Just
sure.
saying. You shouldn't be able to order something. I was actually quite surprised. So I ordered something recently at like 1 p.m. and it was here before 7 p.m. the next day.
I know,
I
isn't
mean,
that
before
crazy?
7 p.m. that day, that
Hmm.
day, before 7 p.m. And I,
But
because it was advertised that way, but I was like, oh, it's gonna come tomorrow. It's fine.
right,
I didn't need it then. And then we went out for a while and came back, and there it was. I was like, wow, that is. I don't know. Yeah, that's just. I thought 2 day shipping was impressive, but now they have like the overnight option and the like 8 hour option. I guess I don't even know. It's pretty interesting.
yeah, I got a story about that. So I'm at work. My dad's texting me. He's like, "Hey, he's got a problem with a mouse under the hood of his car, chewing on stuff."
Uh,
And so his mechanic buddy's like, "Hey, they have these awesome mouse repellers, rodent repellers you put under the hood of your car." And my dad's like, I can't figure out how to order it. My dad's never ordered anything online, never used Amazon. I know it sounds alien to us, right?
yeah.
So he kind of shows me a picture of it, right?
Uh huh.
So I'm searching online. I don't know the exact name, or anything like that. I just see a picture of the device and the first page of the instruction manual. That's what I got to go on. So I find what appears to be exactly it, and of course it's on Amazon, and it says, this is like lunchtime too, right? So it says, order it now, have it by 7 p.m. tonight, right? So I
Uh
ordered it at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe noon, and it was at my dad's by 5 p.m. that day. It looked like some sort of crazy voodoo to my dad. He's like, "What
huh.
the hell?" He's like, "How did you get it here so fast?" I'm like, "Oh, I pulled some strings, Lambs is here. Hi, gents. Air fryers are great, but I changed mine from Instapot for an Instapot that does it all: broil, grill, saute, dehydrate, sous vide, the works. That's a good tip. I do have a dehydrator already, and I do have a small convection oven and two large convection ovens, and I never use them. So kind of, air fryer. I'm looking for like something really compact and fast, because the problem with the convection ovens is they take a while to heat up. You know, you gotta wait like 15 minutes or something for them to get to temperature before you put something in. And I'm always in a hurry. I can't wait. I need my Amazon in 4 hours, and I need my food in 20 minutes tops. So, but I'll
Yeah.
definitely look at the Instapot. It's a good tip. I know Janice sent me a link to air fryer. I don't remember what brand. Probably a Ninja on Amazon, of course. So, and it looked plenty big. Do you remember how big yours is, Justin?
I think mine's like a 4 or 5 quart.
4 or 5 quart. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm trying to get rid of stuff so I have room to put things away. So I don't want something too big. And I just took
Right.
another load of stuff to Goodwill today. So
Well, it's kind of nice. Like mine, I can cook 2 steaks at the same time.
yeah, it sounds perfect.
2 New Yorks.
When
There you
was the last
go.
time you cooked just a steak?
Like one steak?
One single solitary steak.
Yeah, so that was about 3 or 4 months ago. Sarah was at work. I went to Hy-Vee, which Hy-Vee is like a big grocery chain over here. A bit pricey, but it's a
Grocery
very
train.
nice grocery chain. It's a bit expensive, but they had top sirloin steaks. They were huge. They were massive. They were like pound and a half steaks. Yeah. And so it was like, and they were like, I don't know, like $4 a pound or something like that, like super crazy cheap. And I was like, oh man, like I was already hungry. So when I saw that steak, I was like, I'm buying the steak. So I bought the steak and I took it home and I just grilled it up and then ate it. And it was amazing. So yeah, that's the last time I did it. Like if it's a big ass steak and I'm really hungry and I'm not trying to meal prep, just frying up a big ass steak and eating it right away is really nice.
Yeah, so you're
I mean,
making
the thing about being, oh, what?
I was just gonna say you're making a good case for getting an air fryer that can do at least 2 steaks at a time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. At least 2 steaks at a time. And it kind of sucks being carnivore a little bit in that. I mean, I guess you could freeze it or whatever, but if you meal prep and you're a working stiff,
Mhm.
you're eating cold steaks or you're eating, like fresh steak is still really nice.
Mhm.
Like a freshly cooked steak or a freshly cooked steak off the grill or something is still really nice because all the rest of the time we're eating steak that's been in the fridge for like a few days, right?
Yep. Well, you're pulling some what,
So,
10, 12-hour days?
right.
So you're taking your meals with you to work too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just nice every once in a while just to go to a store, buy a big ass steak. I've done it a couple of times as like a treat for myself, just buying the biggest steak I could find and grilling it that night or that afternoon and just chowing down. It's just so satisfying.
Can you fit one of those giant, pound and a quarter sirloin steaks in your air fryer?
Maybe if I laid it right, it may genuinely be too big. I may have to like cut it in half.
Mm. Wouldn't that be interesting if one day you go to the market and they actually cut the meat to fit in air fryers?
Hey,
Instant
there you go. That's a
It's like got a little label on it. Cut to optimize your Instapot.
your air fryer.
So, um, how, when you were eating plant based, did you ever take your lunches to work?
Was I working? Oh, there's a few times I was working then. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd say I'm trying to think of what I brought
Bag of
for where
chips,
I was working at the
some
time.
Oreos.
Nah, because I was gluten free, dairy free, so
Mm,
couldn't do that stuff anymore. Probably like some popcorn, small bags. There was some company that had like a snack pack where it was like gluten free crackers, sunflower butter, like some chocolate chips, and like one other thing. And I used like pumpkin seeds. A lot of pumpkin seeds. I do remember chowing down on pumpkin seeds like all the time.
mm.
I don't know. I think pumpkin seeds were seen as healthier, so I traded my sunflower seeds for pumpkin seeds. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see, munching on seeds for a snack. I mean, who hasn't been bored out of their mind and ate some sunflower seeds or, pumpkin seeds are kind of a seasonal thing, right? Because we start seeing them, making them, and thinking about them around Halloween and the fall, right? But when do
Right.
they become a meal?
At a pound and a half, I don't know.
How hard is that got to
Quite a
be
bit.
on your stomach?
Right. Yeah. It's probably not great. And almonds, a lot of almonds, of course. The sprouted organic almonds are
So you come
ridiculously
down on the
expensive.
almond side as opposed to the almond side?
Almond. How about that?
Almond. Almond? Is it
Almond.
is the L silent? Should we ask Bart? Is the L silent?
Almond. Uh, I never liked Mounds or Almond Joy though. I always thought that candy was terrible. Just a side note, just for some reason. I mean, just never being a fan of coconut. It's like, oh, I do want to yell at Sam's Club. Just give me a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam's Club, a week ago, you had your 1/3 pound burger patties frozen in the freezer aisle for like $5 off a bag or whatever.
Okay.
And I originally went in there to buy the organic grass-fed burgers, but I was like, ooh, that's like an extra discount because not only are the regular burger patties overall cheaper, but now you're really pulling my leg because you've taken $5 off like each bag of like I think it's like 18 or 20 in a bag or something
Mm.
like that. And in the grass fed you only get like 15 anyway. So it's like, that's like a super deal. I'm trying to like save some money. So they've been in my freezer. I go last night because I'm like, I feel like one of those burgers. Um, I look at the package and I'm appalled. So
Really?
it says beef flavoring and encapsulated salt with hydrogenated uh, uh, cottonseed oil.
Ooh.
I was like, what are you
Damn.
doing? Yeah.
Cottonseed oil.
Yeah, I was like, what is that doing in there? So, yeah, listen, when you're buying beef, still look at the package. I
Hmm.
honestly thought it because it's just advertised, of course, as Angus ground beef patties. I was like, oh, why would they mess with perfection?
Now
You
you
know,
say Angus beef patties, and you said translate into Angus beef patties.
Angus beef patties. Yeah.
Okay. Do you put any almonds on there?
No, I don't put any almonds on there.
No almonds. All right.
No almonds. No. The cottonseed oil's enough. So, I don't have the receipt. I was gonna return them, but I don't have the receipt. So and I had some, and they honestly don't taste as good.
Oh,
I
bummer.
think they're honestly more beef than cottonseed oil, but I've got 2 bags of those to munch my way through until
Mm.
I can, I don't know what
Well,
to do with them because it is kind of a waste if I just throw them away and I'll just feel bad.
how many of those you eat a week?
Well, I mean, with my schedule change, I'll probably won't be eating that many a week. But before, with my schedule, I mean, sometimes a pack in a week. So like nine patties in a week.
Mm. Well, I love a good
I,
experiment.
yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't grow or like have something terrible. I mean, it's worded very weird. It's the last ingredient. I imagine it's just a dabble of cottonseed oil. I don't think it's drenched in it or anything, but it's just why is it in there? It's
Right.
really weird.
Of all the oils to put in there, how weird.
Right. Yeah. So be mindful, be weary, even if you're buying the burger patties pre-made. Make sure it just says beef.
Well, let us know if you start growing Q-tips in your ears or you get anal leakage or something.
Right. Most definitely. So Sam's, you're on my down list or something. I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, maybe we should have everybody tell us about the craziest ingredients they find on labels.
Yeah, leave a comment. Would you buy something that was meat and then you read the back of it and you're like, this isn't meat. It's mostly meat.
So, did you buy any plant-based burger patties or anything like that when you were plant-based back in the day? Did you freeze?
I think I did freeze. I'm back. We're back. I'm back.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I heard your question. Not for eating at home, but I did buy plant-based patties before at restaurants. I have done that.
What were they like? I've never actually tried one. I thought about, I think it's Burger King has one of the plant-based patties, and I thought, you know what? Try one, see what it's like. They're probably going away anyways. and I haven't gotten around to it. So I was curious, what's it like eating one of those things?
Well, before you had Impossible Meat, and I forget the name of the other one, restaurants that offered that would make their own patty, and
Hmm.
typically it'd be like a black bean patty. And
Mm,
those were actually really good. I mean, they didn't really particularly taste like hamburger, but they were in the shape of a burger, had a bit of the ground beef texture. And,
mm,
if you like black beans, then it tasted pretty good.
mhm.
Ketchup, mustard, tomato, a little bit of onion, some lettuce on a bun, and it wasn't bad. Those are pretty good. I liked those. I've had the Impossible Burger twice, I
Mhm.
think, at a different restaurant. And I mean, at the time, it tasted pretty beefy. At least I think it was called the Impossible Burger. It's either that or their competitor, whatever the hell it's called. Yeah,
It
I mean,
seems,
it was pretty close to the real thing.
it seems like it wasn't that long ago. There was like three brands, and I'm forgetting the names of them too. The
Yeah,
Impossible
the
Burger,
Beyond,
Beyond,
Beyond Meat.
and then
That's
there
the one
was
I had was the Beyond.
there's one more, right? That they all kind of
Maybe.
started coming out the same time, and then one of them was gone right away. One of them had like they realized like I done manufacturing the patty that there was really high levels of something in it, and
Mm.
I can't remember now.
But yeah, I mean they're tasty. I mean they're just horrible for your health, but
Mhm.
they are tasty, you know. Um, and there's that company Gardein. I don't really see them around anymore, but Gardein would have like a chicken patty that was pretty good, made from soy. And
That's one that's
then
been around a long time, right?
I don't know how long Gardein had been around, but I think the one you're thinking of is something Star
Mm,
something, and they've had a veggie chicken patty forever. Morningstar? I want to say it's called Morningstar.
yeah, it seemed like I remember seeing one a long time ago. Actually, I remember my friend Deidre telling me about one. She had tried one. It seemed like it had oats and something else in it. She was telling me about it. Um, this is probably like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And it came from the store, and I never got around to trying one. This is back before I had any hint of being carnivore. Oh, you gonna take a stab at
Da-
Dad? You are.
Dad, you are?
Dad, you are says it is Morning
uh,
Star. So okay.
yeah, that's what I
Well,
thought. Yeah, the
welcome to the
chicken
show, Dad.
patties
You
by
Star.
Morningstar.
Dad, you Yar. So yeah, I know there's been some that have been around for a long time. So
Yeah, I mean the whole fake meat thing isn't particularly new. I mean, probably since what, the mid '90s, something like that.
when you mentioned black bean patties, of course, what that made me think of was the oyster studies.
Right.
If they fed people oysters by themselves and measured their serum zinc levels, they could predict them going up. That you eat the oysters and you absorb the zinc out of it. But then when you turn around and eat the oysters with the black beans, you absorb a lot less of the zinc. So, anyways, it's interesting. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest difference between eating plant-based and eating meat-based, because there's so many anti-nutrients in the plants that block the absorption of the nutrients. And that's sort of one of the things that's really deceptive about labeling as far as plant-based foods, because that food may contain levels very close to the package of nutrients, but they're not bioavailable, right? Yeah, they can't break them down, or they're bound up with phytic acid or fiber or whatever, and they just go right through you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problem with those fake meats, and I don't know if they're I mean, it kind of seems like they're going away, but seems like they're constantly tweaking the formulas too. So I don't really see people buying them though, but I don't really watch what people buy at the grocery store too much. I don't think they're even at like Sam's Club or Costco really. Like I don't see like a big stack of Impossible or Beyond that you can buy or something like that. Maybe there is. I think Morningstar probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look next time I go to the market and see if I could spot any. I think the last one I did see at the store was Beyond Burgers because they were actually displayed like next to the real meat
Right.
as opposed to the alternative food area.
The
I have
food like
noticed,
substance area.
like in the ice cream section, there's more and more like dairy-free, plant-based ice creams.
Oh yeah, that for sure. Like the coconut stuff or yeah, the dairy
Soy,
free. Yeah.
a lot of soy-based
Soy.
ones.
Yeah. So I used to eat the soy delicious or so delicious, which is a soy based one. But I liked the rice version was better. I forget what it was
Mm.
called, but they had a rice one that was really good that I would eat before I was intelligent. I never really drank a lot of soy milk. I knew that was bad because of other reasons, but I drank a lot of rice milk when I
Hmm.
was plant based. It was really sweet, like a rice vanilla milk. They had one at Trader Joe's, which just like
Mhm.
rocked.
I
It's really
think I
good. So
did
like,
try that rice milk from Trader Joe's one time, vanilla or whatever. Somebody had
yeah.
said something about it. And I was in there and I got it. Of course, that was 20 years ago, whatever. It's a long time ago.
I was never a fan of almond milk. I always thought it didn't taste good to me. I never liked the taste of almond milk, even like the expensive one. Never tasted good to me.
Well, and here in California too, the whole almond thing is so controversial because the almond industry is massive here, and it takes a lot of water in a state where people are always scrambling to find more water. And it's not just that, we're making milk substitutes and all kinds of ice cream and all kinds of random stuff out of the almonds, but we export an enormous amount of almonds worldwide, right?
Mm.
So while we're struggling to have enough water or whatever, and there's always restrictions, and you know, the water here, I mean, like the water I drink at my house, or the water that's plumbed at my house, it comes from the Colorado River, so it's heavily laden with minerals as it is, and there's always shortages. And then the rest of the water in Southern California comes from the Owens Valley, which was controversial because when they diverted that water, they basically took away a lot of the water for farming in the Owens Valley. So, anyways, but that's how Los Angeles managed to grow up on the edge of a giant desert. I think a lot of people don't realize how much desert there is here.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyways, almonds bad, people. Stop eating almonds.
Right. And I also drink a lot of hemp milk. Hemp milk was also really good. All
Really?
these are really sweet. Like I'll have to go to like in the store or something like that and look at the sugar in all the old milks I used to drink because the carbs are probably off the charts.
Yeah, I remember trying that rice milk back in the day, and it was really sweet. And I remember having a bunch of sugar in it. That was, I was like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna get that again." I thought it was just like a milk substitute. That's another thing. They should all just say milk substitute, right? They
Right.
shouldn't be allowed to call them milk because they're not milk.
Right.
There's no nipples on an almond. I've seen a lot
Uh,
of almonds, never seen a nipple on one of them. Seen a lot of almond
uh,
trees. There's no nipples there either. No udders. No no nipples. No teats.
well, I mean, technically it should be called juice. Almond
Sure.
juice, rice juice,
Rice juice.
hemp juice.
Definitely hemp juice.
Yeah.
How very hippie California to be drinking hemp juice.
Right. Yeah. My ex liked the unsweet, and I thought she was the devil for liking the unsweet. And I was like, it's already healthy. Why are you getting the unsweet?
Yeah, there's no end to the things, the substitutes for the real thing. And then, you know, ironically, is anybody shocked when the substitutes aren't as good as the real thing? I wonder if there's going to be any studies of just feeding people plant-based substitutes, see what happens to them.
I think that'd be illegal.
Well, you know what? I'm sure people would sign up for studies like that, right? There you go. Can have all the free plant-based foods and juices you want, but we're gonna draw blood every day. Gonna geotag you, and we're gonna weigh and measure you, write about you. You'd be making history. You know, people sign up for that. Their Instagram would blow up.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if they want to do it, that's fine.
Maybe we should do it.
Who's we're gonna pay people to eat a bunch of plant-based?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Oh yeah, I've
Why
seen
not?
Just Egg in the. It's in the egg case, and I at first when I first saw it, um, I thought it was just whole egg in a carton, and then when I looked at it closely, it said plant based egg, but they call it Just Egg. That makes no sense. It's got no egg in it, but they call it Just Egg.
Right, yeah.
That's some serious imposter syndrome right there.
There's a guy called Raw Egg Nationalist on Twitter. I think he's also on YouTube, who did this huge Twitter thread on that company. There's like a bunch of shady stuff. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I
So
know
if you
how.
go to Raw
Good. Finish.
Egg Nationalist, yeah, if you look him up, he's got a great expose on that company.
Uh,
So I didn't have Just Egg, but I think I had like Just Mayo or something, which was like a vegan mayo.
hmm.
Um, but I did have an egg substitute that I don't think is around anymore, but it was made from algae. Yeah, and it was really expensive. And then at some point, someone gave me like 12 cartons of it. I don't remember how or why, but anyway, yeah, that stuff was weird. So it looked like an egg carton, but you opened it and it was like the packages to make like sea monkeys. And like you
Right.
poured that in like a pan and you put like water and yeah, it's supposed to be like scrambled eggs. It was not like scrambled eggs.
Mm,
Just did
maybe we
not do
just
it.
gotta find some carnivore attorneys to sue these companies for calling stuff milk that's not milk and egg that's not egg. Right? Get a bunch of
Right.
money from that and then do a study where we just feed this stuff to people. Right? That's a
I
plan.
suppose. I don't know. I think that might I was run Bart the ethics of that kind of experimentation. So
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Bart tonight. So I'll ask Bart, how do we sneak this past the ethics committee?
I mean, people already do it to themselves. I mean,
Right. Imagine you're some, California, Venice Beach, crunchy granola hippie person, you know, do a lot of drugs, don't really have a job. And then you'll sign up for this in a heartbeat, right? Maybe we'll throw in some feet tattoos.
I'm, I disavow. Sorry.
Oh, come on. Just hilarity would ensue.
Lawsuit would ensue. I don't know what.
Come on, man. Give him some patchouli oil, some hemp sandals.
Wheatgrass shots every 6 a.m.
There you go. Wheatgrass shots.
Mm.
So you got any news for us there, Justin? Any changes coming up?
Yeah, so I'm going to be um, taking a step back from the Meat Mosaic for a while here. I might be in and out, but whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey. Oh yeah, get your sleep. Oh, thanks, Lambs. We appreciate your likes and comments, and yeah, get your sleep. Sleep's important. We believe in sleeping here at the Meat Mosaic
Yes, we do.
to the best of our ability. Like I was saying, and wow, what timing? Like I was saying, I'm going to be taking a step back from the Meat Mosaic. I might pop in and out here or there, but I just got other things I have to focus on right now. Um, Certainly, if you want to learn more, we have Meat Mosaic on Facebook, Autistic Carnivores, and the Meat Mosaic Telegram. Um, and so, yeah, but more details and things to move forward. It's all good things. Nothing bad. Nothing tragic has happened or anything like that. But we'll be stepping back. But Janice has agreed and to take the pedestal, the throne, I don't know, wherever I sit, and be Tom's co-host going forward for a while at least. So thank you, Janice, and I've loved this. I've loved doing this. It's been a lot of fun. Um, and I'll be back. I think I'll be back. Just taking a sabbatical or a hiatus for a while. Um, so Janice, you enjoying that vodka?
That's a tall glass of vodka.
I'm actually using those Element electrolyte things. I got some and I like
Oh,
Ah,
pretty good. But
rehydrating.
Tom, I mean Justin and Tom, I think I'm not gonna be able to. I like this yoga class that I just went to. So, is there a way to change the time for the live stream?
Yeah.
Really? Because I
Yeah.
just had the best yin, like a warm yin yoga class, and I'm like, I want to go every Sunday from
Okay.
4 to 5.
So we can adjust the time. It's like it's 5:45 now. I mean, maybe we just bump it to 6.
If that's cool, that would be a lot easier. I'm all like sweaty.
Yeah,
Justin's the one who's like later in the. You're 2 or 3 hours.
2 hours, 2
Yeah.
hours ahead.
me and Janice are both Pacific time, so
Specific time.
so what's that yoga class
Speaking-
like? Oh, go ahead, Justin.
I was gonna say, speaking of Central Time, shout out to everyone at the KetoCon, me and Tom and Janice, and I'm sure we all wish we could have been there. We've seen the pictures of BNS and all the people that are meeting him, and he gets to meet some of his heroes and people like that, and just everyone there. It's awesome, and hopefully there'll be a YouTube replay in like a month or something. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we'll be able to catch some talks from it to see what's new in the keto carnivore space. But my understanding this year was a bit of a carnivore takeover. So that's really cool.
Carnivores are more fun. They're always gonna take over. You can't ignore fun.
I kind of feel like I missed out on something because I was never like keto,
Mm,
So it's kind of like there was a train that I never got on. I just went straight to carnivore, more or less.
mhm. Yeah. No, I did.
And
A lot of us did go keto first, so we have that. We bring a lot of keto think to it.
And I think since we've been talking about plant-based, I mean, I think sadly, keto's kind of getting invaded by like plant-based stuff, but being called keto,
Mhm.
and it's just like you go to the store, you look at a keto something, and like it doesn't have any fat, it just has low carbs. It's like, okay, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. I get it, but it's like this, you're still going to be making people sick. Just, I guess
was
maybe a
listening-
little less sick.
I was listening to a stand-up comic, And somewhere in his bit, he was saying, "Yeah, I'm keto now, which means I basically just eat meat." I was like, "What?" You can tell like it's blurring together. Like people, and then when I talk to people who say they're keto and they're not really into it, they don't really have any idea what they're doing. They're going to the store and buying something that says keto on it and sort of loosely copying somebody else, but they have no idea of what kind of macros are usually suggested or anything. And then of course you still got the hardcore people who are like, getting their ketones as high as humanly possible and taking keto or
esters or whatever.
yeah,
Or
keto
fat
esters,
bombs.
fat bombs. Yeah. So it's interesting.
I wanted to try keto ester just to see what would happen, but like they're pricey. Like pure ones are pricey or whatever. And I don't know if I'd get any more of effect than I do with MCT oil. So I don't know.
Right.
Pretty much the same mechanisms.
It's interesting because I was talking to my neighbor. He's got he was in a serious accident a long time ago. He's got a lot of health problems, and his doctor has put him on low carb. So, and I was talking to him about that. So you see it, and his doctors are with the VA, so the Veterans Administration. For people outside the U.S., that means the medical system for soldiers and former soldiers in the United States. So if you're in the military, you can get health services for life through what we call the VA. So that was interesting. And of course, I've mentioned before that my healthcare provider has sent out keto support type emails and stuff like that in the past. So it is getting mainstream.
I feel like
Did everything freeze?
I don't know. Are you still talking? I can't tell.
I was talking to Justin earlier today. I'm thinking about just buying a new computer. I think my video card can't keep up with the new. It's probably like a month ago. It seemed like all of a sudden, like StreamYard, I would start freezing. So, anyways, I'm going to try and record Bart later. I think Janice is probably coming, and we're going to do it on Zooms because last time we used Zoom, it was fine. Just seems like StreamYard, but I was talking to Justin, about dropping over $1,000 on a new computer just to fix this problem.
So I joined this new gym, and it's like I'm doing all these yoga classes again, and I was just thinking about how a lot of yoga people are vegetarians.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wearing my carnivore hat around the gym, and like when I went to they toured us around the gym, they have this little cafe, and it only has like plant stuff. It's like smoothies and like juices and salads and like all this stuff, So today I brought in my own like bacon and eggs to eat, but it's just weird to me. Like I feel like people look at you funny. Like the gym lady, I was getting toured when I was deciding whether to sign up, and I told her, because she's like, "Oh, we can get a free sample, a free smoothie, or anything at the cafe," and I was like, I can't eat it or drink any of it. And so I told them, I was like, "Oh, I'm 100% like meat based," and they all looked at me like that was crazy. So anyway, I just think it's funny because when I was a vegetarian for like 10 years, I was doing all kinds of yoga. So I was like really steeped in that like mentality about being plant-based, and like, they would say like if you eat the animals, you're ingesting the violence like of the slaughter and just like all that stuff, and that
the trauma.
Yeah. I mean, it's just funny to me now that it's like fast forward all these years and it's like the opposite. And then when people tell you, when you tell people that you switched from being entirely vegetarian to be entirely meat based, they think you're just like a freak, like you're just extreme, And I'm like, no, there were clear steps that led to like really feeling like meat based is the way to go,
Yeah,
Anyway,
I usually sort of preface my story by telling people that, particularly with the arthritis, you go get all the help you can from the doctors. They give you medicines and stuff like that, and to help with the symptoms. But clearly, something is making it worse one day over another, and then you start experimenting with your diet. And I talk about all the stuff. I never was intentionally plant based or vegetarian or vegan or anything like that, but I ate a lot of plant material,
yeah.
and it clearly seemed to make things worse, especially like fruit. Fruit. When you listen to discussions, it's like fruit doesn't seem to be quite as hard on people as vegetables. Like fruit is kind of designed for animals to eat it and spread the seeds around. That sort of seems to be the natural mechanism there, right?
Mhm.
But that was when I ate fruit, the reaction to that was far more noticeable than when I ate, like spinach or cauliflower, or potatoes and corn and all that stuff, the sort of staple foods. So that was the first thing to go, which is, if you think about it, it's kind of ironic because fruit is kind of designed to be eaten, by
Mhm.
animals, right? So, and then the more offensive nature of the vegetables seems to be more subtle, right? It's like eating leafy greens and potatoes and stuff like that. It seems to take longer to notice, or what the problems that cause aren't as obvious, right? Did you guys
I
notice
wouldn't
that?
say it's subtle. I had a lot of bad gas and like had to poop all the time, and then I had like like arthritis type symptoms. I mean, I felt like I ate a lot more vegetables than fruit, and so I always had a stomach ache. I
Mm,
always had to have a lot of gas. I had to poop at work, which I never poop at work anymore, which I still maintain is like the best thing about carnivore is that I never poop in public or at work. So I don't know, like Tom, what you didn't get like gas from eating like romaine lettuce or kale or any of that stuff. Like what fruit stuff were you talking about? Like what were the effects of fruit?
so the typical stuff like apple, banana, pear,
Oh yeah.
nectarine, oranges, stuff like that. Like, I noticed the joint pain,
Oh yeah.
and then they would make, like, I'd eat it too, and I would get, sores on my tongue or whatever, not like, uh, just like temporary. It seemed like, whatever would sort of burn my tongue or something like that, and particularly like honeydew and
Yeah. Kiwi.
tomato.
Kiwi and pineapple. I get that too.
Yeah, pineapple for sure. And you're just like, well, it's just all the sugar and the acids in there, right? And you're right, there was always gas, and you knew like broccoli and beans and stuff like that. It's just you, for sure.
And then don't they say that like cruciferous vegetables mess up your thyroid, right? Like the broccoli, cauliflower.
Hmm.
That's what I think I had. I think I had thyroid issues from eating so many like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and cauliflower. Like my family would treat broccoli like the holy grail. Like it would like
Right.
they eat broccoli. Everyone in my family eats broccoli every single day, and they have for like decades because they believe that like broccoli would keep us alive. And I ate so much broccoli, and I hate broccoli.
And broccoli is one of those vegetables that is completely man made, right? It's crossbred from mustard plants, right?
Wow.
There was no broccoli in the ancient world.
But what I mean, all the fruit is totally like man-made,
Manipulated.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just really disdain how much people like bananas, like and apples. Like there are people at work who I see them eat an apple every single day and a banana every single day, and I'm just like shaking my head, like just throw it in the garbage.
that was me. I would like, hey, apple a day keeps the doctor away. And then I talk about all the time. I spent a lot of time in traffic going to work and back. So a lot of times I'd eat fruit in the car on the way to work, right? You're in the car for an hour, and I would notice that my arthritis would get worse when I ate it. Like within, half an hour, my joints hurt worse,
Mm.
which sounded
Never
insane. to people.
correlated that, but you had it pretty acute, huh?
Yeah, my big story was the worst day for me was that, that's
Oh,
easy
yeah,
to
the day
describe, is waking up in the morning and not being able to get out of my room because I couldn't grab a doorknob. It's like, and I got to use my hands. Most people have to use their hands to make a living, so
Is that all gone now?
yeah, I have no arthritis whatsoever.
Wow, that's
I had 2 collapsed discs in my back. My hands are always crippled. My feet always hurt. My neck would go out all the time. I'd get sciatica really bad. I'd be dragging my left foot behind me for like a month at a time. Couldn't roll over in bed, all kinds of. And now I go and I lift weights every day, And when you got two ruptured discs in your back, you shouldn't, they tell you, the only thing that's going to fix that is surgery or whatever. But I have no pain, and I brag all the time about how like I can squat 600 pounds or more, so deadlift quite a bit. My deadlift max was probably like 470. Not there right now. Kind of lost some of that during the COVID lockdown. But yeah, I lift every day. I use my hands every day to lift. I was just at the gym this afternoon, so no pain. I mean, I get a little bit of soreness from lifting, after the fact. But back then, when I lift, I'd be really sore. Like particularly the muscle, like the muscles you used. We've all done it, right? You go do some things, particularly in the beginning, like the next day or even 2 days later, you're like, oh, I don't even want to move, and I don't get that anymore. I can really push myself and like, I feel a little bit of soreness, It's it.
Wow, I want to see if that's going to happen. I haven't been exercising for so long, but I did 4 classes in the past 2 days, so we'll see. I don't feel it. I mean, not hard. I did like spin and 3 yoga classes, but
Oh, is that all?
but I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, the
Yeah.
spin I was very weak. Like I was obviously like out of cardio shape, but I just just whatever did it. But I do think I'm curious to see if I start to work out, if the recovery is going to be, because I know what you mean. You just be so sore. Like you'd be like, I would be sidestepping down the stairs all the time if I did anything,
Right. Well, and you lift a lot or, whatever, do a bunch of treadmill work or whatever, then like, you get done, you're like, ooh, your energy's tapering off, and then you start relaxing, and then you feel like you need to recover, right? You're like, oh, I worked out hard, I need to recover. But now it's like I lift or something, and then by the time I get home, I feel like I've recovered. It's like a 15-minute car ride or whatever, and then I'm like, wow, I feel good.
That's just the power of Flying Dutchman from In-N-Out. That's what that is.
I did fuel up on the way to the gym and In-N-Out.
What is the Flying Dutchman? You guys keep talking about it. What is the Flying Dutchman?
It's just meat and cheese from In-N-Out.
Oh, just meat and cheese? You can do that without?
Yeah. Just ask them for Flying Dutchman.
Oh, that's so good. Every single day I eat the like protein style. I have to deal with that piece of lettuce. You just call it the Flying Dutchman?
Yeah. Every location makes them.
And how many patties?
2.
2 patties and 2 cheese?
Yeah. So when I order it, I order it with 1 cheese. They call it -1 cheese, and no salt, because when you take the wet lettuce or the bun and everything else away, they seem too salty to me.
Oh, okay.
So I just, in
but
fact,
you can add patties too to that. You can add.
Yeah, so the Flying Dutchman is 2 meat and 2 cheese, and you can order as many as you want. When Joe was here, he tried to eat 10, So that's 20 patties and 20 pieces of cheese, and he made it to 9.5.
Wait, how much is it for a Flying Dutchman?
3 something.
What? Because I'm paying like for the freaking protein style, like I do like a 4x2 or whatever, 3x2. It's like $8.
Yeah, the prices crept up a little bit lately, so it might be a little more now, but I want to say it's like $3.50.
I cannot believe this term that I just needed to know the Flying Dutchman because I hate the lettuce, and it's like, do they put the sauce on it though, or is it just?
You can ask for it, but they normally just meat and cheese and salt.
I'm
But
so excited to get that this week.
You can get grilled onions on them. That's really good.
No, I can't. I can't eat onions. That's another thing I noticed recently. Is even if they're just like a couple, like onions and garlic, I cannot digest. Like I had those meatballs that I posted on Instagram, and like I was just like burping up garlic. Like I cannot take it. And onions too. Like if I forget to tell them no onions, it's just like it refuses to digest.
The grilled onions at In-N-Out are the only onions I eat.
Oh, that's good.
I don't like the smell of any of the other onions. So.
Well, then I'll have to try it with the grilled onions.
I just want to say hi real quick to Rizagnos, and then of course Jules is here, and Raymond Neff says, I think he's talking about In-N-Out. He's saying because Raymond Neff lives in my area, so he actually met us at the In-N-Out when Joe and Justin were here, and he said they also have puppy patties cooked with no salt. So I guess that might be another In-N-Out secret menu.
I like my salt though.
He likes his with mustard fried Dutchman. Well, the thing is that they're always salting patties while they're on the grill. So when you get a Flying Dutchman no salt, it's still salty. It's just not as salty. In fact, the ones
I add
today,
salt to mine.
when I was eating them today, I was like, wow, these things are salty. And I looked at the receipt, and sure enough, it says no salt.
Oh, weird. My favorite thing is the Justin's Baconator from Wendy's. That is like the best thing ever.
I told Justin's wife that Wendy is his girlfriend.
So I actually went to a local little shop here in Kansas City with some coworkers called Tay's Burger Shack. It's a really small place. And on the menu, they have a burger that's called the Home Run. It's actually 4 patties. It's a pound of meat.
Wow.
Yeah. So I ordered the Home Run, and my coworkers couldn't believe that I finished it. Like just 4 patties. I think I had pickles and some salt on it. And it's good to go.
Yeah.
Well, Justin knows my friend Aaron. Aaron never orders anything less than a 4x4 at In-N-Out. Usually does a 4x4 lettuce wrapper, what they call protein style. Yeah. The thing I don't like about the lettuce wrap is it's always dripping everywhere.
Oh yeah, totally. I've ruined like lots of work clothes with that.
Exactly.
Hey, so speaking of salt, because Agnes is saying they add salt to everything. I do too. But I was wondering because now I'm doing these electrolytes and I literally salt everything, and I eat tons of bacon and just like tons of salt. And the only time I ever check my blood pressure is when I go to the doctor. And I feel like since I've been like, I used to have very low blood pressure when I was a vegetarian, like really low.
It's because you were dying.
I know. But now it's like, it's kind of like, it's not like out of normal, but it's like toward the high end. But does blood pressure, you know how like, I hear people talking about like cholesterol normalizes over time. Does blood pressure also normalize for carnivores?
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, in the book, The Salt Fix, I think that's the Nick Antonio that wrote it, right? He says in there that only a certain segment of the population is actually salt sensitive, meaning it raises their blood pressure. And it seems like when people go low carb, that tends to go away. But maybe your blood pressure, should just normally be on the higher side. If it's not in the danger range. I noticed my heart rate has been faster probably the last 6 months or something like that. And my blood pressure was a little higher. I ordered a blood pressure cuff and I could never get the damn thing to work. And it's sitting in a drawer somewhere. And I need to look, because I was gonna say that was one thing I never really monitored, and I thought, oh, what the hell? I like data, but I haven't really gotten that together. But it's a good question.
I guess we'll have to figure it out. I mean, actually, I feel like I don't care, Like I probably should care, like these people who check these things, but I just really don't care because I feel like subjectively easily 10 times better than I ever felt as a vegetarian or eating any other combination of things. But I'm supposed to get, now that I joined this gym, they're gonna do the little body scan thing, not the DEXA scan, but another like body composition thing. So this will be my first time getting like an official like scan of whatever fat and muscle, I guess.
Yeah, so they basically the machine passes a current through your body, and it's and you plug in your they're recording how much resistance the electricity experiences flowing through your body. And then imagine like the machine has like a table in it where it's saying, okay, she's female, she's this tall, she weighs this much, and that those resistance measurements would put you at at this particular body composition, right? Which is basically lean mass to fat mass, right? But the problem is it's very much dependent on hydration, because how much water and electrolytes are in your body really affects how much how well the electricity flows through your body, how much resistance there is, right? And then on top of that, if you're out of range because I know you're not short, you're at least average height, but if you're a particularly small or particularly large person, you're not even going to be on that scale, right? And there's, I was talking about this before when I took this nutrition class at my healthcare provider. It's like the lady teaching it, she was Asian and she's very slender, and she'd put her hand around her wrist and her fingers would overlap by quite a bit, and she was talking about the difference, so all those little differences, like how much you weigh, they don't really know how much lean mass you have, right? So you're very slender. So you compared to me, they're kind of somewhere between me and you is like an average, right? And that's really what that data is going to give you. If you are an average person, your composition would be roughly, this or that. So
I should take it with a grain of salt then.
I would take it with a grain of salt. I wouldn't hesitate to do it just out of curiosity, but I wouldn't assume it's all that accurate, because what depends on how hydrated. So what you could do, go in there nice and hydrated and do it, and then do a yoga class without drinking any water, and then come out and do it again. And the readings are very different.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or do it in the morning without drinking any water, and then try it again at the end of the day. And that'll probably very much. In fact, Bart, I think, did a study. He did a published study where they manipulated people's hydration and then ran the same test, and they could manipulate the test results all over the place. So there you go. I mean, it's like a lot of things. We can't measure things perfectly. It's like calories. It's an imperfect sort of science, and it kind of leads us to think things that aren't really true. Like they derive a calorie, a gram from a gram of material in a machine that burns that material in a way that the human body never would, and it's indiscriminate, whereas the body handles, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates differently, right? It prioritizes their consumption as fuel differently, or their allocation as building materials differently, so that, and then the labeling, it's like the labeling has a margin, acceptable margin of error. So when you break it all down, you see that calories in any application other than machines is inaccurate, but it's kind of all we have, right? So you don't want to throw it completely out. It's not that calories never count. So do you guys have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, these are all just kind of tools. I think a better measurement of body composition is inches. Taking measurements, if they would measure you once a week or something, as awkward as that might be, I think would probably be more accurate. And then since it is about hydration, since you know the trick, you can manipulate it. So when I do my scans that I would do at home, I would just make sure I do them first thing in the morning and after I've gone to the bathroom, but before I've had any water from the night before, so that the measurement's more or less the same every time. You just make the conditions the same every time. And then you would just judge the average incline or decline of percentage. And then you can kind of track that way.
Yeah, measurements could be useful, especially over time. So, like if you're looking for change. So, I would, and if you really want to get deep in it, you probably could find a calculator online that took into account things like your wrist and ankle measurement and stuff like that. Because wrists and ankles typically, stay the same, right? Because there's not a lot of flesh there, right? But even without that, like let's say you want to measure your the large muscle groups that are easy. So like, your forearm, bicep, your calves, your quads, stuff like that. So, but I don't know. That probably really depends on your goals too. I mean, what's your goal?
I want more muscle, less fat.
Oh, there you go.
Because when I was a vegetarian, I was smaller than I am now. Like I was skinnier, but I was just like frail, like I don't know. I don't want to be like that. I want to be like, I want to have muscle and be like firm,
Well, let's say you started, working out now, and I could kind of speak more to like weightlifting than yoga or spin class, but when somebody's starting out basically from scratch, they haven't done it for a long time, then the expectation for the average person is that they can usually lift somewhere around 2 to 3 times than when they started, right? And you should see an increase in those muscle groups, particularly the biceps. The biceps and the calves are easy to measure, right? And typically what you'll see too with like clothing is, waist circumference will go down, but oftentimes like shirt sizes will go up, right? And those are probably some of the best ways to sort of measure progress, aside from just being able to do your yoga better, do the spin class better, more speed or whatever it is. And of course, you should see the recovery, because when I stopped doing cardio and started lifting harder, because they really do interfere with each other, your body wants to prioritize speed and agility, or it wants to prioritize strength, right? So doing both you'll never maximize the one or the other, right? Because if you want to be fast on a bike, your body wants you to be lightweight and efficient. But if you want to lift something heavy, you need to accrue muscle mass, right? And accruing muscle mass is detrimental to being fast, right? And muscle is a very expensive tissue, right?
Oh
So
yeah. And I also want bone density. So I feel like that's where the strength is important, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I would tell you that cycling and yoga probably aren't going to do much for bone density.
That's what
Lifting will.
X3 is for, right?
What's that?
Isn't the X3 supposed to be helping me with that?
The
Like,
X3 should, sure. Yeah,
but
but that's
I
strength
just
training.
want to start, like, I mean, I'm only doing the yoga and the spin just to sort of like get back in something, like an entry point that's kind of easier. And then I think I want to move into like strength, you know?
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with the yoga or the cycling, but whichever one you prioritize is the one you're going to excel at, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
But the
cool.
X3 should definitely help because the bigger your muscles get, the more they tug on the bones. The more they tug on the bones, the denser the bones will be.
I swear, just when I do the X3, even for like a week, then like you said, you're like my shoulders don't fit in my clothes anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as you get broader, like in your chest and your shoulders, and then
Mm-hmm.
I can't like then all my like shirts feel. I mean, this is a minor scale compared to like someone like you're buff, but I'm like you know like for Asian lady standards, I feel like I feel like I'm like busting out of my like shoulders and all of my like jackets and everything.
Well,
It's
see
just
that
you
that's
just you get broader, and even right here, like I feel like this part starts to stick out, like whatever that little piece is, like outside
mhm.
of my shirt.
Yeah. So that's probably a better indicator than the composition machine at the gym or trying to take a bunch of crazy measurements. Or really, it's how your clothes fit. Which you could say, "Oh, I put a tape measure around my waist to measure it. I put a tape measure on my chest to measure it, or whatever." But then when it comes to measuring shoulders, how the hell do you do that,
Yeah.
right?
But
And
I also
and
like feeling, I mean, you know how like just feeling stronger? I think that's the whole thing about carnivore. And then any tiny gains I get in strength, I just feel more solid. And I feel like people don't mess with me as much. Like, you know, it's like weird. It just changes your mindset, you know?
yeah, the in human beings, the posterior chain are the strongest muscles.
Hmm.
So that's like your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, and up the back, right? So, in my estimation, those are probably the most important muscles to keep strong because, we talk all the time about that study that showed that, once you're 55 and you fall and break a hip, you've got a 50-50 chance of being dead, right? And a lot of that has to do with, high blood sugar or whatever, lack of mobility, and so on and so forth. But a lot of things, and we all know people have been in car crashes, had gotten sick, you get COVID or whatever. The stronger you are when you get injured or you get sick, the more you have to fall back on, right? Because when you get weakened by an injury or something like that, um, the stronger you are, the better off you are when something bad happens. And of course, you see older people all the time. They have trouble getting out of a chair. They need a walker. They need a cane. They need a wheelchair or whatever. And all those sort of conditions contribute to their the decay of their health accelerating, right? So I would say to be stronger, particularly the posterior chain, which makes you, helps you be agile and mobile, is important. Of course, a lot of the times they evaluate grip strength. They're like, they measure grip strength, and that's a strong indicator of how long you're going to live. So,
Oh, that's good news. I have like crazy grip strength. Everyone's always like shocked. And even after I broke my elbow, they were like, whoa, like, why is that an indicator? Why is grip strength an indicator of
I,
longevity?
it's hard to say why. I think it was just a statistic that somebody noticed.
Hmm.
And I don't think that the actual grip strength is what keeps you alive per se, but it's an analog for your health and your activity and stuff like that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, because if you're sedentary and don't do anything, you're not going to have strong hands,
Yeah,
right?
interesting.
But it's nice to know you got the kung fu grip.
I do.
I
People are
know.
always very impressed for some. I mean, it just seems like they don't think I would have a strong grip, but I do. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know whether I actually did anything or if I'm just lucky.
Yeah. Well, I had a hand rebuilt a long time ago. It's good, more than 20 years ago. It was an accident, and when it happened on the job, so at the end they're evaluating, how disabling it was. And my grip strength was higher than it should have been for a normal hand, right, of somebody my size. And they're like, well, there's no disability there, and my left hand was never, which the one that was rebuilt, was never quite as strong as it was before. But at the same time, when I was going through that process, after it happened, I'd be in the surgeon's office after they would do surgeries, to go back to check, how it was doing. And I was sitting in the waiting room with all these people that had atrophied limbs, and it scared me. I was like, oh my God, if that happened to my arm shriveled up like that, or my hand shriveled up like that, I'd be like, so that's really when I started working out hard, started going regularly. And I would go to the gym and I'd have pins sticking out of my hand, and like a skeleton, metal skeleton bolted to the back of my hand and stuff like that, And oddly enough, other people that had injuries like that, both male and female, will come up to me. They're like, yeah, you got to work that arm really hard. You're like, or you're going to lose strength and you'll never get it back, and we all had sort of that similar experience where we're either at the doctor's office or in physical therapy with people that had similar injuries and their limbs atrophied or whatever, and it was several weeks after the initial reconstruction when the surgeon, he's playing with my fingers and poking at him and running one of those Wartenberg wheels over, and he's like, you know what? I think we're going to keep these fingers after all. And I was like, wait a minute. When I thought you put everything back together and it's fine. He's like, oh, you never know. He's like, because, they have to restore blood flow and everything. And if it doesn't work, they've got to take them off. Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, I worked out harder than ever, even with my arm in a cast or my hand bolted back together from the outside, and all that. And I was kind of surprised that like people would never talk, probably never have a conversation with, would come up and say, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Cause I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. I was doing it purely out of fear, So
It's good that you did. It set you up on a good track.
But that's too, doing that. That's when I kind of developed my love for lifting, And then when I got the arthritis later and I couldn't lift, and I was like, oh my God, I love it so much. I got to get back somehow,
Wow.
So anyways, do we have any more plant-based bashing to do, or do we catch up on comments? Anybody want to read the comments real quick?
Neurodivision Jules with some comments. So Tom, you probably need some more potassium. Potassium helps regulate heartbeats and blood pressure. Sometimes when you don't have enough potassium, the kidney doesn't release enough sodium. That's interesting, Tom. Haven't heard that before, of bone density, that if muscle tug on the bones, that triggers the body to build more bone density. I always thought it was just up vitamin D. And with K2, up bone density. So lots of K2 and VD, vitamin D, not VD, vitamin D from meat and sunlight. So there you go.
Yeah, there's a bunch of studies done with gymnasts and stuff like that that show that it's that bouncing that they do, like, when they're doing flips and stuff like that, causes their bones to get denser. And so if I'm not mistaken, they did some more tests where they took elderly people with low bone density, and they had them bounce on a trampoline, and that significantly increased the bone density in their legs. So there you go. I will have to dig up those studies, but I'm sure anybody's ambitious enough to look for them.
I have one of those bouncers, the rebounder, right there in my room. So that'll increase bone density by jumping on that thing. The mini trampoline.
Yep, in your legs for sure,
That's cool.
and in your hips too. Yeah,
Cool.
and then the other activities will increase the bone density in your arms and stuff. So.
Nice.
All right, so maybe I'll try a little potassium, see if I can change my heart rate.
These elements are pretty good. They have 200 milligrams of potassium, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium.
Damn.
I tried the variety pack, and I like the watermelon the best.
Have never ordered those, but maybe I'll give them a try.
I like them. I mean, I feel like, I don't know if it's just because I'm like started working out, but I actually felt like I wanted to work out from drinking this. And I couldn't believe I eat so much salt, but I feel like maybe it is like the potassium, like neurodivergent Jules thing. Yeah. So maybe it is that potassium magnesium combo.
Yep. Maybe it's worth a shot. I think I have some potassium. At least I used to have some potassium supplements sitting around. It's just some pills, but maybe I'll order some Element and give it a whirl. Why not?
I like the watermelon the best.
It's starting to get warm here. It went from cool every day to it's up in the 80s all of a sudden. I think the warm is here to stay, which means I'm going to be drinking more water. So maybe it's time to hydrate.
Justin,
Well, everyone,
that means
what?
To wrap when you start sighing.
Oh, is that the sign? Well, no more sighs from me. It's been great, everyone. I've enjoyed every minute, almost every minute of doing the show. Those that weren't here earlier, stepping back. Janice is taking over. Tom will still be here. I'll pop in and out. News to follow, news to come. But I'm not leaving carnivore. I'm going to be as carnivore is over. So that's not. You're not going to start seeing me doing a vegan podcast or anything like that. Although that might make us more money. I don't know. Yeah, but it's been great. Much love to everyone. And yeah, I'll be seeing everyone though. It'll be great.
Thanks everybody for the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking, and of course, people are watching this later on YouTube. You know, feel free to leave us comments. I try and respond to everybody. So try to include everybody. Do my best to grow the community. So, and I'm happy to have Janice here. I've been trying to get rid of Justin for years. Just kidding.
Oh, we love Justin. It won't be the same. I'm not as spunky as Justin.
Spunk? That's what you call this?
Either.
Justin's spunky and Janice has a kung fu grip.
That we do. Oh.
All right, everybody. We'll wrap it on up and
eat some meat.
Yeah, everybody eat some meat. Feel better.
Feel better. And whatever you do,
don't fall down.
Don't fall down the carb hole.